I'm just looking out for a moment.
Yeah. Well, thank you to each of you, and congratulations on graduating tonight. That really says a lot. So once again, I think I said this on opening night. One of the things that makes Frisco what it is our community here working together with us and being engaged and taking an interest in what is going on in our community. And learning about the police department is a big piece of that, right? A lot of people, they have misconceptions about the police department, or many people from Frisco, they moved here from other places. So they may have a perception of the police department from wherever they came from. And so it's important for you to learn what we are about here in Frisco. So I really appreciate each of you taking the time out of your busy schedules to be part of this program and learn about us. And I hope you took some things away, because I'm about to put you on the spot and ask you what your big takeaways are. Because I always like to hear kind of what it is the community, gained from this program. And is there something that we need to include that we didn't include? Because our focus is always on getting better in everything we do, right? We talked about, I think I talked about response times the first week that I was here. Our response times are really good, but I want our response times to get better. That's the attitude that we take towards everything, and this program is included in that. So I guess I'm just gonna kind of throw it out there to the group. What was the biggest takeaway from the program? Anybody want to raise your hand? And sure, I feel like a talk show. Don't have to, don't want to.
I think for me, it was just really understanding the intensity of when you approach a car. I didn't realize how dangerous it was. I think in my head, if I've ever been pulled over, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm just speeding. So in my head, it's always just speeding, but in reality, that's not what you guys face on a daily basis. And so that intensity and just seeing how fast things can happen was really mind-blowing for me, and it gives me a lot of pause when I think about what y'all do.
Thank you. And always the unknown for us, right? And I'll tell you a story. So 2 days ago, I'm headed into work. I don't make many traffic stops anymore, right? I don't let me in the office very often. Right? But on my way to work, I had somebody whip around my vehicle and then just cut me off, hit the brakes, doing all this crazy stuff. And I have lights in my car, right? I'm in uniform. I'm like, man, I'm gonna make a traffic stop today, right? And everybody's gonna freak out. Well, I did. I made a traffic stop, but as I made the traffic stop, it's been a while since I made one. I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's going on here? Most of our officers will tell you that we deal with a lot of road rage issues. It's probably about once or twice a week we're having somebody get a gun pull on them, and that's the stuff going through my mind as I'm making this traffic stop. Turned out it was just a very impatient driver, wanted to get to work. We had a conversation and all was good. But to your point, never know, right? Anybody else, Scott? You want the microphone, or you want to just?
No, I did. So one of the other things was that how each officer has different roles to play, whether it's training or counseling or patrol or this investigation. And the way you guys kind of customize each of those areas, and we as public, when you come to us, we expect you to treat us fairly, but behind you, every day you see different situations, putting yourself in danger, seeing accidents, victims, so it's a lot of mental stress. But that's one thing that I observe is just one person, how many different roles he has to play in his daily life. And I never thought about it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And there are, as we've grown, there's a lot more needs with the growing community, and we have a lot more people in specialized roles. But one of the things that I've said many times in a lot of different meetings is I don't want us to become too siloed, right? Because we all have to kind of work together and make sure that we're providing good, efficient service to the community. But yes, increasingly growing, specialties within law enforcement, and they certainly have to work together. Never in a million years, we were just talking about, Grant and I were just talking about this just a minute ago, never in a million years did I think we would have to have resources dedicated to just social media, right? It's crazy. I mean, if you'd have told me I was going to have a Twitter account a few years ago, I would, but I haven't. So even though I don't have as many followers as the canine, I'm not. But I mean, that's the type of thing that as we kind of grow as a community and as society evolves, we have to change with it. And social media is important in investigations. Our investigators are very tuned in with that. They use it to help solve cases, and they use it to help investigate cases. So a lot of different things, and it's always ever growing. So yeah, I'll go here.
I think what I really liked about the entire session was the perception. I really enjoyed that class a lot because what we see and what actually happens are two different stories. And I think we have to be more open-minded and to listen to the entire case, or we can't obviously, but we need to be more open-minded and get more information by just passing out a statement. Because that can literally make or break things, which is terrible. And that, going back to social media, actually that really helps. Because we've all heard about the good cop and the bad cop. But honestly, the bad cop is more popular than the good cop. So I think we over here are ambassadors for you all to speak about all the things that you actually go through to come back to a conclusion, which seems, what's the big deal at our side? But now we know it's a huge deal. The perception is huge.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. You covered a lot with what you just said. So first, I'll say, so the perception, and you're talking about, I'm sure, public statements and the media stuff that y'all went through. Yeah, we had a case recently or a release recently where we literally, as a command staff, we sat in a room probably for about 3 hours to craft maybe a 1.5 paragraph type of statement. But we had to be so careful in how we said certain things to make sure that nothing could be misconstrued, and we would play the game of somebody's asking questions, just to try and play devil's advocate, just to make sure it was crystal clear. So we try and do that with all of our releases, so that we're trying to get out factual information that people can't spin this way or that way, but we know that they're going to spin it this way or that way. And the reason why bad cops always get a lot more attention is because news media needs to sell things, right? They're a business. And I don't fault them for being a business, but it is important, that's why it's critically important, like you said, that we get the good news out, because the good news is the majority of the news.
Yeah.
If we had officers that were getting indicted or getting arrested or breaking the law on a regular basis, I wouldn't be police chief for very long, first of all, and everybody would know about that. We have great officers here, and that doesn't happen very often at all. I mean, maybe I could count on one hand in my 20 years here how many officers have been criminally charged for anything, right? And so it's a very low frequency thing. But when it happens, it's big news. Over those 20 plus years I've been here, our officers have done a lot of amazing things, many of them not ever reported on. And so it is critical for you to be ambassadors for us based on what you've seen. And I think I mentioned this week one, if something doesn't sound right, by all means question it and ask, hey, I know Josh at the police department. Let me reach out to him and get the story, if he can tell me, or at least give me some additional facts, right? Because that context is very important, because the news media is going to try and make something sound sinister, maybe intentionally, maybe not intentionally, but their goal is to get attention because they're a business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You got half of my comment, so that was good. The other thing I was really impressed with is the amount of support staff and the tools and the resources that go on in a call or a traffic stop or everything that an officer does. It's just eye-opening to see all that 12, 13, 14 men and women behind the scene. So that was really good, and it's good to see that the officers have that backing. It's not just a whim of somebody in front of an incident that's taking a decision. So that kind of goes in hand with the media perception and what's not shared.
Yeah.
So thank you.
That's a great point, and I will give a shout out to all of our civilian support staff that we have working behind the scenes. I say this quite frequently. I couldn't do the job of a dispatcher because as an officer, I feel like I control the outcome. I have some hand in leading to an outcome, and dispatchers certainly do to an extent. But I always find out the outcome as an officer. I always kind of know how things resolve, right? Dispatchers sometimes are left without that, and what they do is so critical. And they got people that are terrified, that are victims, that are yelling and screaming at them over the phone, and they're having to get necessary information to relate to us. They're trying to get information to us as quickly as possible because we're out on the side of the road or wherever, needing that information in a hurry, and they do an exceptional job. So we couldn't do it without the support of our dispatchers, our detention staff, animal services, our admins that we have in the police department. Very, very important to us. And those folks that don't even work in our building that are critical to us are the IT folks, right? They're the ones that develop Safer. For those of y'all that have seen Safer, they're the ones that help us develop that, and that's an amazing tool. Secures our schools. Wouldn't have been possible without our IT folks. So, great point.
So I was impressed with the department's focus on mental health, both for the community and for the officers. And I think that level of training helps, and one-on-one interaction, even after a long day, having multiple calls, but y'all sitting, cop car to cop car and kind of debriefing and having a conversation, so you're not going directly into the next call with, all that last call's thoughts on your mind. So I think the mental health focus is good and should be applauded.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll piggyback off that and say, I don't know if I mentioned this, but since I've been here, our department has had 2 officer suicides. Right? For a department our size, that's unacceptable. For a department any size, that's unacceptable. Don't know the reasons behind those, but I will say that's something that we as a profession, I think, have recognized. We've taken a look in the mirror and said, hey, we lose more officers to suicide than line of duty deaths every year. We should probably do something about that. And I think our profession is doing that now. I think we're taking some steps. We have our resiliency coordinator. We're expanding our chaplain program. Fitness is important to that as well. Peer support, counseling services, all of those things, right? And then those, I'm very proud of the work that our resiliency coordinator has done, and I think that's very beneficial to our officers and ultimately to you all as a community, because an officer who's in better mental health is going to provide better service. They're going to stay longer, right? We're not going to have this revolving door of people getting burned out and leaving us. So yes, very critical, very important component, related to the best for our officers and the best for our community.
One of the things I really learned a lot about was how much extensive training everybody goes through when they're coming in through the door, while they're here, the continuing education. Because in a lot of the things that we did see, that maybe the difference between a bad cop and a good cop was their training. So I think you have put a lot into the people that are here and their education to make them more well-rounded and more learned. So, and I did know one of them said they would like more, but.
Yeah, training is important, and we're continuing to build an infrastructure in our department to add training. So there's, a lot of times there's training that we have to go outside. There's such a specialty that we have to send an officer outside. Usually those are the higher cost things, and then there's a lot of stuff we can do inside the department. But I will say, Texas mandates 40 hours of training for officers every 2 years. We at least double that, and most of the time well beyond that. So we've set high standards for training for everything that we do. there's going to be some specializations within the department that they get way beyond that 40 hours a year or 80 hours every 2 years. They're going to get way beyond that. So definitely, and then as we move forward, one of the things that we're putting before our bond committee is a proposal for expansion of the Public Safety Training Center up there, which is, to my point earlier, building that infrastructure to continue to provide facilities to add training, continuing to add positions, to build on the training that we are already doing. And so those investments are important for the long-term sustainability and service of the department.
Everyone has said what I was gonna say, and it starts from the top. You, and I told you to be here because you started us off. I went home from that first class with a peace of mind knowing that the response time, so if I picked up the phone and called you guys, you were there. So, and then the training, I mean, just to hear you go over and above what's required. And the chaplain, I'd love to know that you're getting the support you maybe feel and see what you guys actually have to go through on a day-to-day basis. So if I get pulled over, no attitude, you know, because you might have just come from something really drastic and I just need to do what I need to do. I haven't been pulled over in a long time. When I get leave class in Hall, Illinois, is where I'm from. I've been here 32 years ago. Moved to Frisco in '99. And I tell my family, I said, Frisco Police Department is awesome. I wish you guys could go and train everybody.
I'd agree. I'd agree that, yes.
You're doing such an excellent job.
Yeah.
And everyone, at the top, and you're doing an excellent job. We love you guys.
I'll just say, you know, I appreciate that very much, and I know our officers appreciate that. I have the greatest job in the world because I get to watch them do the things that they do every day, and it really does blow me away. I mean, they're amazing. It's a privilege for me to be able to serve in the capacity as chief, but they deserve the credit. Our officers, our dispatchers, our detention, they are doing the hard stuff, right? I get to stand before groups and elected officials and talk about these things, but they're the ones that do the heavy lifting, and for that, I'm grateful that they keep me out of hot water and they keep providing the citizens with the service that they deserve. So, thank you.
The key takeaway for me here is the amount of transparency that you have provided, not only with this kind of sessions, but the avenues that are available if at all somebody wants to reach out and get that information. That's really great.
Yeah, I think I mentioned, as far as information goes, you know, we did our first annual report. I don't know if any of y'all looked at that. I think I brought a copy or two my first week, but that's available online. It's just kind of an overview of the entire department with some statistics. You know, it gives everything from how often do we use any level of force. You know, it's a response to resistance report. How many complaints do we deal with? All that stuff is in there. We're not trying to hide it. We want everybody to see it, and we want everybody to see, you know, kind of how we resolve those things, and you know, just be as transparent as we can, because it is important. That's important from a trust standpoint. You know, if you can't trust us, then we're going to have a lot bigger problems. So that's important, and we certainly want to earn the community's trust and keep it that way. And that's something that we remind our officers as well. Anybody else? Yes, sir. One of our newest chaplains, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you know, a lot of this stuff, you know, from an information point of view, it can be communicated, you know, online. You can get the information. But the thing that's absolutely valuable about this is being able to spend time with you guys and to see the camaraderie, to feel the pride that you guys have in the department, to feel the empathy that you guys have for the community. I mean, it's really contagious, and it's really made me, you know, excited about being a part of that. And so, I just want to thank you guys. Just like she said, this course is really great, and I hope you guys keep it up for a long time.
Yeah, relationships are everything, right? And that's why I think I said at week 1, we don't want you to know us as the Frisco Police Department. We want you to know us as Stephen Byron, Josh Lovell, Rand Cottingham, Mike Crawford. We want you to know us by name, and we want to have that relationship with you because that's what allows that free-flowing communication that is so critical to making the relationship work. Anybody else? No? In the back.
Well, my biggest takeaway was that y'all said happy birthday to me. Beyond that, I think it's an incredible job that you do, and under the circumstances with our city growing as much as it is and as fast as it is, and there's just so many areas now that you have to cover. I think it's a fantastic job. It's just awesome that you've been able to be a part of the community as well as be our protectors. And that's the most important thing to me, knowing that you are our protectors and that we can call on you and not feel that we burdened you with anything. Beyond that, I think each one of you that we've met has had a great personality. I think each one of you have different gifts, and I hope you explore those gifts and expand them into our community. I just think that more people need to come through this class for an appreciation of who our officers are, whether it's Frisco or Little Elm or Prosper or wherever. We have people here that are doing a job that most of us wouldn't even consider doing.
True.
It's giving of themselves 24/7 and not complaining about it.
Yes.
And it's just been great for me to go through this class. It really has. Thank you.
I'll be 60 when we're filming in March, but had I met you guys a lot sooner, I might have been a cop because I have really enjoyed what I've learned. But I'm too old for it. Too old. Had I gotten here earlier, I would have.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that about the program. And once again, tell everybody. Tell everybody what you're doing with the program and how insightful it was and what you learned. Because we want every class full. I mean, we strive to do that, and we've not had any issues filling the classes. It's way better than the Citizens Fire Academy. Everybody, I'm going to get my dig in on the fire academy. They're graduating the Citizens Fire Academy tonight as well. So, but that is all part of making our community understand what goes into public safety and making sure that people really get to know us or the fire department or by name. That relationship is key. Anybody else?
One of the things we love about all this nobody is going to do anything. Much of this change, we learned that you don't want to use tickets, you just want to make sure that people follow the rules.
Yeah.
That's a big learning.
Yeah. Compliance is the objective. That can be achieved a lot of different ways.
Warnings most of the time. I think we only write citations in somewhere between 25 and 30% of our traffic stops, which most people don't believe me when I say that, but that's the case, and so the goal is just to get people to obey the law. It's not about, there's no quotas, our officers don't get commission on the tickets that they write, all those things that are out there, those are illegal, so we just want to gain compliance with the law, and typically you know, we're working traffic in an area where we've gotten a lot of complaints. People have drawn our attention to it, and they've complained, and they want people to slow down. They want us to watch people running this red light or running this stop sign. There's a never-ending list of traffic areas of concern that we get in a city this size, and so yes, the goal is compliance, absolutely. Yes.
One of the last class we talked about downloading the app of all the
Mm-hmm.
So I covered that day. I saw it was 160. And last 4 weeks, almost 34 officers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Just a huge respect and officers with the life of us.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting the numbers, because I'll tell you, it hit close to home a couple weeks ago, right? We lost a Carrollton officer in the line of duty, and his family actually lives in Carolina. And the funeral service was at Prestonwood, but they did the visitation here in Frisco at a local funeral home, and we assisted with the procession and some of the arrangements, and very honored to do that with the help. To help out Carrollton PD. So yes, it's a very dangerous job, and you know, I always say it's a noble profession because the folks getting into this profession know that risk. And how many professions do people raise their hand and say, yeah, I want to do that, you know, I want to risk my own personal health and safety for the betterment of people I don't even know, right? That's what makes it a noble profession, and that's what makes it an honor to serve alongside people that are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice if they have to. So, but I appreciate you highlighting that, and I think, you know, it's eye-opening for people to see, you know, how many officers lose their life in the line of duty each year, and you know, some of the different dangers that exist. I mean, we now, because of the Carrollton incident with that officer, I mean, we now have, thanks to our friends at the fire department, we have a blocker truck that will assist our officers when they're working in roadways. You know, that's been something they've been working on getting rolled out for a while, and now they have it. But there's an infinite number of dangers out there that pose a threat to the lives of officers. So I appreciate you mentioning that. Anybody else? Anything that we could add that would make it even better?
It would have been great to hear from some of the female officers or detectives, whether they're patrol or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to have that female presence and hear their side of it, because it's a different world for women. And so just to hear what they get from it and why they chose to be a police officer, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that's a great point. In fact, class 49 was the last one Kayla did, right? So Kayla Carney used to be in services. She promoted to corporal, so she's back in patrol, but she was the facilitator of this class 2 classes ago. But I appreciate you saying that. We do, you know, we host a Women in Law Enforcement event that we had just recently, and not just, you know, police officers, but all the women that we have working in our building, and the many different career options and paths that we have, and they do provide a very unique perspective that yes, we definitely want to get out there and recruit more, for sure. Thank you. Yes.
One suggestion would be to increase some sort of online presence of this class. I know there are challenges and pros and cons, we talked about them, but it would be great if the family members can participate in one of the class virtually, right? So they could hear some of the stuff, like the SRO would be a good example. What does the officer do at school? For the kids to hear that first time from the cops would be invaluable.
Great point. Anybody else? Well, this is the point at which you get to graduate. Thank you very much once again for being part of the program. Let's do the graduation. Are you gonna read the certificates and